Potential is not a gift. It is a debt. And for many of you watching this, it is a debt that is currently in default. The interest is accumulating. The collectors are at the door. But the collector is not a bank. The collector is time. And the currency is your life. We have been conditioned to view potential as a compliment. When you were a child, adults looked at you and said, "You have so much potential." They meant it as praise. They meant to tell you that the future was bright. But what they actually did was place a heavy, invisible stone on your back. They gave you a destination without a map. They gave you the pressure of a masterpiece before you had even learned how to hold the brush. Now you are an adult, and that phrase, "you have so much potential," no longer feels like a promise. It feels like an accusation. It rings in your ears at 3 a.m. when you are staring at the ceiling, wondering why you are not further along. Wondering why the gap between who you could be and who you are feels like a canyon that is widening every single day. This is the curse. The curse of being smart. The curse of being talented. The curse of being the one who could do anything. Because the person who can do anything often ends up doing nothing. They become paralyzed by the sheer weight of the possibilities. They are terrified that if they choose one path, they are killing 1,000 other versions of themselves. So they stand still. They wait. They prepare. They plan. But they do not move. You are likely addicted to the feeling of your own future. You live in a fantasy where your success is inevitable simply because you are capable of it. You treat your talent like a savings account that is generating interest, thinking you can cash it out whenever you are ready. But human capacity does not work like a bank. It works like a muscle. If it is not used, it does not just stay the same. It atrophies. It rots. The world is full of brilliant people who are rotting in the comfort of their own promise. They are superior in their minds, but mediocre in their reality. And this discrepancy creates a specific type of silent torture, a cognitive dissonance that you numb with distractions. You scroll, you watch, you consume, you plan, you dream. Anything to avoid the cold, hard evidence that you are wasting the very thing you are so proud of.
Let's look at the mechanism of this trap. Why does potential paralyze?
It starts with the ego. If you identify as smart or gifted, then effort becomes a risk. If you try and fail, you prove you aren't as special as you thought. But if you never try, if you never truly commit, then you can protect the fantasy. You can tell yourself, "I could have done it, I just didn't want to," or "I'm just waiting for the right time." Laziness is rarely the problem. The problem is ego preservation. You are protecting an identity that hasn't earned its keep. You are guarding a statue of yourself that doesn't exist yet. And in doing so, you are becoming a ghost in your own life, haunting the places where you should have been successful. This video is not here to motivate you. I am not here to tell you that it's never too late. That is a comfort lie. In some cases, it is too late for certain things. Doors close, opportunities die, time runs out. We are here to look at the math of your life. We are here to calculate the debt. Because until you acknowledge that your potential is not an asset, but a liability that you must pay off through painful, consistent action, you will remain exactly where you are, stuck in the waiting room of existence, holding a ticket for a train that left 10 years ago. The first step is to kill the fantasy, to stop being in love with your future self and start having contempt for your current inaction.
Let us examine the architecture of your stagnation.
You are likely standing in a hallway. It is a long, dimly lit corridor lined with doors. Each door represents a path you could take, a career you could pursue, a skill you could master, a life you could build. Because you have potential, you have keys to many of these doors. The average person, the one you secretly look down on, only has a key to 1 or 2 doors, so they simply walk through one. They start walking. They stumble. They learn. They build a life inside that room. It is messy, imperfect, but it is real. You stand in the hallway. You look at the doors. You analyze the wood grain. You calculate the probability of success for each room. You simulate the outcomes. You are terrified that if you walk through door A, you are forever closing door B. This is the paralysis of choice. To the intelligent mind, choosing feels like dying. Every choice is a funeral for the lives you didn't pick. So, to keep all those potential lives alive, you choose none of them. You stay in the hallway. You tell yourself you are keeping your options open. But you are not keeping options open. You are aging in a hallway. The hallway is not a destination. It is a purgatory.
You mistake analysis for progress.
You consume information about the rooms. You watch videos about how to open doors. You read books about the history of hallways. This feels like work. It triggers the same dopamine receptors as actual achievement. But it is motion, not action. Motion is planning, strategizing, learning. Action is the thing that produces a result. Motion is safe. Action is dangerous. You are addicted to motion because it allows you to feel productive without the risk of failure. It sedates your anxiety while your life slowly evaporates. There is a darker layer here: perfectionism. You wear this word like a badge of honor. I'm a perfectionist, you say, as if it means you have high standards. That is a lie. Perfectionism is not the pursuit of excellence. It is the avoidance of judgment. It is a defensive mechanism designed to protect you from the shame of producing something mediocre. If you never ship the work, if you never launch the project, if you never commit to the relationship, it can remain perfect in your head. In your mind, your potential is a pristine, flawless diamond. In reality, it is a lump of coal that you are too afraid to squeeze. You are waiting for a guarantee. You are waiting for the path to be clear before you take the first step. You want the map to be fully drawn before you start the journey. This is arrogance. The universe owes you no clarity. The map only reveals itself under your feet as you walk.
Look at the people you went to school with. The ones you thought were less intelligent than you. They are likely further ahead. Not because they are smarter, but because they were too stupid to overthink the risks. They just moved. They made mistakes, corrected them, and kept moving. While you were busy perfecting your plan, they were busy living a life. They have scars. You have flawless skin and an empty resume. Every day you spend in the hallway, the doors are locking, one by one. The keys are rusting in your hand. The options you are so desperate to preserve are expiring. You think you have time, but the tragedy of potential is that it has a shelf life. It spoils. And the smell of spoiled potential is the bitter scent of regret. It is the smell of an old man sitting in a chair talking about what he could have been. Do not become him.
There is a relationship you are neglecting. It is not with your partner, your parents, or your friends. It is the relationship with yourself. And right now, that relationship is broken. It is built on a foundation of lies. Think about the last time you promised yourself you would do something. I will start tomorrow. I will finish this project. I will wake up early. And then you didn't. You might think this is trivial, a small lapse in discipline. But your brain is keeping a score. It is recording every single breach of contract. Every time you set a goal and fail to act on it, you are teaching your brain a very specific lesson. My word means nothing. You are training yourself to believe that your instructions are suggestions, not commands. You have become a liar to the only person whose opinion actually matters. This is the root of your lack of confidence. Confidence is not a feeling. It is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born with. Confidence is a reputation. It is the reputation you have with yourself. If you had a friend who lied to you every single day, would you trust them? Would you believe them when they said, "This time will be different"? No. You would look at them with skepticism. You would doubt their capability. You would lose respect for them.
Now look in the mirror. That friend is you. This is why you feel like an imposter. You read about imposter syndrome and you use it as a shield. You tell yourself it's a psychological condition. It is not a condition, it is data. You feel like an imposter because, in the context of your own potential, you are one. You are posing as someone who is capable while privately knowing that you cannot even trust yourself to do the dishes when you said you would. The erosion of self-trust is slow. It happens in the micro moments, the snooze button, the skipped workout, the procrastinated email. These are not just lazy moments, they are votes. You are voting for the identity of someone who does not follow through. And the more votes you cast, the harder it becomes to change the election. This is why you are tired. It is exhausted to carry the weight of 1,000 broken promises. Your subconscious mind is burdened by the open loops of everything you said you would do, but didn't. It is dragging a heavy sack of should-haves behind you. And the worst part? You try to fix this by setting bigger goals. You think a massive transformation will solve the problem. I will change my entire life on Monday. This is delusional. You cannot lift 500 pounds if you cannot lift 5. You cannot build an empire if you cannot build a morning routine.
When you set a huge goal while your self-trust is at 0, you are setting yourself up for another failure. Another notch on the belt of your incompetence. Another reason for your brain to say, "I knew it." You do not need more ambition. You need integrity. You need to repair the reputation you have destroyed. You need to show up for the small things, the tiny, boring, invisible things. Not to impress the world, but to prove to your own nervous system that you are safe to trust again. Until you do this, no amount of strategy will help you. You are a general whose army has deserted him. You are shouting orders into an empty room.
You are waiting for a feeling. You are waiting for motivation. You treat it like a weather forecast. You look out the window of your mind and say, "The conditions aren't right today. It's cloudy. I don't feel inspired." This is the behavior of an amateur. Amateurs wait for inspiration. Professionals just go to work. You have a fundamental misunderstanding of how human psychology interacts with physics. You believe the sequence is thought to feeling to action. You think you need to have the idea, then feel the desire, and only then will you take the step. This is wrong. This is the equation of stagnation. The actual sequence is action to feeling to thought. You do the thing before you want to do it. You drag your body to the desk, to the gym, to the uncomfortable conversation. Your brain will scream. Your emotions will protest. They will list 100 reasons why you should stop. You ignore them. You treat your feelings as irrelevant data, noise in the signal. And then a strange thing happens. 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, the resistance fades. The motivation you were waiting for suddenly appears. It didn't come from the sky, it came from the movement. Newton's first law applies to your mind. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. You are an object at rest. You require a significant amount of force to start moving. This is called activation energy. It is painful. It is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be. Stop waiting for it to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it, and your potential wouldn't be special. It would be average. You are addicted to the start. The fresh notebook, the new app, the Monday morning. But the start is cheap. The middle is where the potential dies. The middle is boring. The middle is repetitive. The middle is where the glamour fades and only the work remains. Most people quit in the middle because they are addicted to the dopamine of the new. They are tourists in their own lives. They visit a goal, take a picture, and leave when the weather turns bad. You need to become a resident. You need to live in the discomfort. There is a concept called the 10,000-hour rule. But before that, there is the 10-minute rule. Can you survive the first 10 minutes of boredom? Can you survive the first 10 minutes of frustration when you are bad at something? Because you will be bad. This is another trap of potential. You think because you are smart, you should be instantly good at things. This is arrogance disguised as ambition. You are not entitled to competence.
You have to buy it with the currency of failure. You have to be willing to look stupid. The person who is willing to look stupid for a year will outpace the person who is trying to look smart for a decade. Kill your ego. Your ego is the heavy armor that is keeping you from moving. Take it off. Admit you are a beginner. Admit you are behind. Admit you have wasted time. That admission is not defeat. It is liberation. Once you admit you are at the bottom, there is only one direction to go. But you cannot think your way up. You cannot plan your way up. You can only climb. One ugly step at a time. And you do it without applause. You do it in the dark. You do it when no one is watching. Because the version of you that needs an audience is the same version that quits when the audience leaves. The only applause that matters is the quiet respect you earn from yourself when you do what you said you would do.
We arrive at the end. And the end is where we must start. Because there is a deadline. You have been living as if you have infinite time. As if you can defer your life to a convenient date in the future. As if your potential is a wine that gets better with age. It is not. It is milk. It sours. Every day you do not use it, a part of it dies. Every year you spend planning, a version of you withers away. There is a version of you that wrote the book. There is a version of you that built the business. There is a version of you that got in shape. If you wait too long, those versions do not just wait for you. They die. You are attending their funerals every single day you choose comfort over action. You are killing your future self to keep your present self safe. That is not self-preservation. That is suicide on the installment plan. The world does not care what you could do. The world does not care about your IQ score. The world does not care about your talent. The market does not pay for potential. Relationships are not built on potential. Legacies are not written about what a man almost did. History only records what is done. The rest is silence. You are terrified of being judged for your work, but the alternative is being ignored for your silence. Which is worse? To be criticized for trying, or to be forgotten for hiding? You know the answer. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. And you are currently building a monument to regret. There is a concept in palliative care. Nurses ask the dying what they regret most. They almost never regret the things they did, even the mistakes, even the failures, even the embarrassments. They regret the things they didn't do, the words they didn't say, the risks they didn't take, the potential they took to the grave. Do not let your potential be the thing that is buried with you. Do not let your tombstone read, "Here lies a man who had so much promise." That is not a eulogy. That is an insult.
So kill the fantasy. Kill the gifted child inside you who needs praise. Kill the perfectionist who needs a guarantee. And give birth to the worker, the one who shows up, the one who is willing to be bad, the one who understands that potential is nothing, execution is everything. You have carried this burden long enough, the burden of being special. Put it down. Pick up a shovel. Pick up a pen. Pick up the weight. Start digging. Not for gold, but for yourself. Because you are buried under years of your own excuses, and no one is coming to save you. You are the rescue team.